Welcome. Okay, I just want to see, raise your hand if you're in team 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, whatever, that's good. All right. I'm also videotaping it as well. We're going to cover what the content of 403 is this semester. There's quite a bit involved. It's a very logistically complex semester as we try and get every team through all 6 gates over the course of the semester. A lot of moving parts. I think we have it, and now we just have to execute it. There are all the documents are on Box already. I invited you all to your individual team folders yesterday, and in the shared folder from last semester is a new folder for spring 2016, and all the initial documents that we'll discuss today are in that folder. The first one being the syllabus. It has the contact information for the teaching assistants. We have one new teaching assistant this semester, Hannah Cash. Just going to pull this up. The content of this course is divided into particular elements. First element is what we call design gates. There are 6 design gates, and your attendance and presentation of the required materials and documents that are outlined in each of those gates will constitute 4% of your total grade each of those gates. Those 6 gates are spread out over the course of the semester, and there's details on what those requirements for each of them are. The entire team's attendance is required at those design gates. If for any reason you have an excused absence for a job interview or authorized university or department event, that will be excused, but similar to all the team requirements, your team just has to cover for you. The second group of documents is what we call the design history file. There are a number of documents required for that, each of them worth a certain percentage of your grade, and each of them due at a particular time, which is kind of linked to the gates themselves. There's the final design paper, which is actually very similar to the one that you submitted at the end of last semester. It's just a more pumped up version, and it actually has the final device that you designed. That's at the end of the semester. In terms of wrap up, there's quite a bit that we need to organize at the end of the semester. 4% of your grade will be for your final design history file organization and submission, and getting your final design itself back to us so that we can keep track of it for you with regards to potential intellectual property and patent and things of that nature. That also includes the organization of your digital design history file, which we'll cover in a little bit. And then the last 4% is for your attendance and presentation of your design at the final design symposium, which you can put on your calendars right now, which will be on Friday, April 29th, down at the TD Convention Center in Greenville. Big event. Pretty standard course policies except for attendance. We'll get to this in a little bit, but what we'll be covering in here are best suggestions and guidelines for what you are to present at your gates. So we'll be covering basically best practices for gates and the design history file documents that are associated with them. So it's in your best interest to come to this lecture, but I'm not going to require it. So come if you want to. The gates themselves, there's 18 teams, and we're going to be doing 9 gates a week, and so they'll be staggered. So 9 teams will go 1 week, and then 9 teams will go another week. And we'll be covering the content for those gates. So if you came to both, you'd be really, really well prepared. If you came to just the one before your gates, it'll probably be too late. So you really want to come to the one that's a week before your gates so that you know what to do and you're very well prepared. And so these weeks, these lectures are going to be designated as A team weeks and B team weeks, and they're staggered so that you have enough information to prepare for your gate. If you came to both the A team and the B team lectures, then you'd be super well prepared. And then we'll just have 1 or 2 other lectures for guest lectures. So I'll cover that in a little bit more detail. But the attendance is going to be, come if you want. We're not going to take attendance. But if your entire team does come to a lecture, and we document that, then that team will get a 1/4 point bonus for their entire course grade, meaning 0.25 addition. So if you came to all the lectures this semester, you can have almost a 4-point boost in your final grade. And we'll document that according to your team. The whole team comes and you show up, meaning ask a question. So it'll be more the carrot than the stick this semester. And that we'll cover in a little bit more detail later. So we do have Design Lab. It's 312 Rhodes Annex. If you haven't been in there yet, you've missed out. It's a lab full of fun. There are certain requirements there that we'll get to when we cover the lab safety. But that's for your use. It does have a security camera in it, so just beware of that. And we do try and keep the door locked at all times with a little code, but sometimes it just gets stuck open. Honor code applies. And the last thing is we do want to make sure that we practice some level of intellectual property proficiency in this class. And so as you develop your designs and work through all the documents and share this with a lot of people, you do want to be cognizant that you might actually have intellectual property and you don't want to go blabbering it out to everybody and anybody and sharing documents willy-nilly. So when in doubt, ask an instructor or a TA about how to handle contacts external to the university, especially, but if you have any questions about internal to the university as well, please ask about that. Any initial questions on the syllabus? Again, all of this is in the shared class folder under Spring 2016. The schedule for this semester, like I said, is one that is staggered. We have our Tuesday lectures here in Dillard. We're here in overview and Gate 1 prep. And this week we're going to have instructor meetings, team instructor meetings, as well as Design Lab overview tour. And then starting next week, we will get into the A team, B team thing. So here you can see the structure of the course. You have basically 2 weeks in which teams will be presenting their Gate 1. And A teams are going to go next week, and B teams are going to go the week after that. And that'll stagger through Gate 2, Gate 3, and Gate 4 before spring break. There are no gates the week after spring break, and we have Gate 5 and Gate 6. So A teams are being asked to present first and early, but they get to end first and early as well. So some advantages and some disadvantages there. For example, like week before spring break, after spring break, things like that. But in general, if if you're an A team, you present on one week, and if you're a B team, you present on the other. The organization of it is that I've kind of paired teams together at times that you've said that you're available. And so the way this works on the back end, if you're a mentor or another faculty coming to this, is that they just show up at the designated time. Say, for example, on Tuesdays between 2 and 3, we have the A team, team 18, and the B team, team 8. With the instructor, the people just show up in the room and you show up. So for example, Dr. Nagatomi, he's going to show up between 2 and 3 on Tuesdays. One week he'll see team 18, and the next week he'll see team 8. So that way, I've only had to book out the faculty for one time a week, so they actually are meeting each week. You're meeting every other week. They have 2 teams. We have a number of people involved in this, so hopefully it all stays put now. We've just had to make one shift, and so there is this team 14, and then nobody else during that time, and then nobody else during this time in team 7. So we have one additional time, but essentially this is the structure that we have. Almost all of the meetings are going to be in room 402, which is our kind of executive conference room across from the 401 suites in Rhodes. And then there's just a few that have to meet in 302. These are not required attendance locations for the gates. If your team desires to have a gate meeting somewhere else, you can. The idea of these gates is that they are your meetings, and you are presenting to us. So if you want to have them somewhere else, and you can get everyone to come to those, then by all means do it. We have new spaces available on campus over at the Watt Family Innovation Center. So that's up to you. These are just ones that actually have been reserved and are available to us to use.